Summer tub update, 20th of September, 2025. 2 days before the autumnal equinox. Uh, we're definitely in Indian summer right now. High's supposed to be in the low 80s today. Lows at night are in the low 50s, high 40s. But you can tell that, the plants, especially, well, the trees not so much, I was going to say. But some of the trees out front more so. But the plants are starting to show their wear. You can tell they're getting ready to shut down for the year. There's not nearly as many I mean, there's a few like this. What is that? Some sort of tachinid right here on this flower. But there's some more tachinids over here. Um, but you can just tell that the pollinator numbers are decreasing. We are, well, we're about to enter true. Well, we're in, you know, what's the term? Not meteorological. Yeah, we're in meteorological fall right now, early meteorological fall, but we're about to enter astronomical fall with the equinox. But yeah, you can just tell that everything's kind of starting to really pull back for the year. I mean, this taro, while it is throwing off a new leaf, most of the other leaves are starting to yellow and shrivel up. Yeah, and just in general, yeah, it's the end of the season. What more can you say? Which means we're pulling down fish. The medacas, they're still growing out, and I should say, even when the water temps are in the 50s, medacas do great. They're still eating, and seems like they're growing a bit. But yeah, these are the Halloweens. As you can see, they are probably about as colored up as they're going to get this year. Yeah, be interesting when I take them in and separate them out. But that's not really what we're doing today. I guess I'll show the other tubs. Here's the Hikaris. Probably not going to be able to see much. You can see some of the more gold ones in there and the more orangey ones. And then obviously we've got more Halloweens there. Yeah, everyone. I think the Dharmas are still hanging around in here. I believe they are. Let me see if I can see any. Yeah, I'm seeing at least a couple Dharmas. Not that I had that many in the first place, but I've seen at least two swimming around in there. So I guess that'll be an interesting project. Yeah, these are the plants that I am from tubs that I've pulled down. Most of these plants I'll save, some of them not so much. But yeah, more Halloweens. Or at least Halloween offspring growing out. But yeah, this is, we're getting, towards the end. We've only got a few weeks left. At least for the fish. The turtle can go probably another, at least a month. Well, definitely at least a month. Probably more like 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But today we're taking down the Aphanius mento. And it's going to suck. Because all these Aphanius mento tubs, if you can't tell, are full of filamentous algae. As you can see, I'm draining this one already. But yes, full of filamentous algae, especially this one. So it's going to be just picking through it. This water bluebell's got a flower that's... is it falling off, or is it just starting? Can't tell. Anyway, actually, a lot of the water bluebells have buds that are getting ready to open. But yeah, so this is going to be a very tedious process of picking through to pull out the mento. And it's going to be interesting to see in a, well, we'll see way of, the last 2 years I've had problems when I brought the mento in with them pulling them out of the tub and then just putting them in the bucket with water from the tub, of them suddenly dying just from being pulled out of the tub. So I guess we'll see if that continues to hold true, or if we don't have to deal with that. Anyway, I'll get back to you when I'm further along with looking through these. That's a hell of a root system on this mojito mint. Ah, hell of a root system. But anyway, clearing out the tub, the plants actually, and the algae of this tub was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. Wasn't quite as choked with algae as it looked like from the surface. But you can see the Cyperus prolifer. This is one that I kept over from last year. Didn't go as big as ones that I've had where I've bought them new for the year. You know, if I bought them new, they usually would fill up this entire pot here. But on the other hand, it didn't cost anything. So I might go in and take a small division of that and bring it in to, continue for next year. We'll see. As you can see, it's still throwing off shoots. So, but yeah, have gotten 3 little juveniles out of here so far, which haven't had the sudden death. So hopefully, as I continue to break this tub down, we will continue to not have any issues. Anyway, be back in a bit. Okay, so I'm done with the first Aphanius mento tub. Moving on to the rectangular 75 that has them in it. So you can see some of these fry. Already started to dig into the water lettuce, and this is not going to be as easy as the last time. There's much more algae mixed in. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm really not looking forward to that 40. The other tub was extremely productive, to the point that I think I definitely, I only planned to do 1 tub of Aphanius mento this year, and then I did these other 2 because didn't have anything planned to put in them because they were new tubs. Well, technically that one's not new, but it got replaced by that other new 40 back there that has the Halloweens in it. But anyway, 2 additional tubs to the setup, and then I realized I didn't have anything to put in them, but I had spare pairs of Aphanius mento hanging around, so I, used them, and now I'm kind of regretting it. So anyway, I'll get back to you soon. Well, water bluebell did end up opening up. I've been talking about all season. Haven't been able to get a picture of them because they last so short, but yeah, that's what the water bluebell flower looks like. Yeah, and it'll be off probably certainly by tomorrow. So yeah, the water bluebell. Still going through this tub, getting ready to dump it through the sieve. I think I've got most of the stuff. Luckily, not nearly as many fish in this tub as were in the main tub. A lot of little guys, but I'm still gonna be having to figure out a system for bringing these guys into the tanks. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a tank full of the ones that I'm gonna be selling in a month or so, the sexed out young juveniles, a tank of sexed out young adults, a tank of the larger juveniles that hopefully will be sexed out by the spring, and then a final tank of all the little dinky guys, and probably throw the breeders in the dink tank and let them grow out. And then when I sell off the juvies, then in a month or so, then I can move things around a bit more. Anyway, that's the plan. Okay, all 3 Aphanius mento tubs are down. I should add the particular, kind of like with the Aphanius vladicovi, where it's really Ismailius vladicovi. There's been some taxonomic changes in the last couple of years, and the particular line of quote-unquote Aphanius mento that I work with is actually now technically Paraphanius similis. But anyway, those tubs are down, which is kind of a relief because I knew they were going to suck to process, and they weren't as bad as I thought they might be, but still challenging. The last tub, the 40 gallon, there were a few, like maybe a half dozen decent sized juveniles, and a lot of little fry type things. So I didn't film it because it was just tedious. But anyway, this is kind of a lessons learned. Next year, I'm only going to do one tub of Aphanius mento. Just I've produced, well, luckily the 40 didn't produce a lot, and the rectangular 75 didn't produce near as much as the main 75. But there's just a ton of fish, and they take a while to sex out, so I'm not going to be able to sell most of these until at earliest next spring, and a lot of them till next fall. So yeah, that's just a pain. And then also, I've put out a bunch of breeders for this, and I don't sell my old breeders. It just doesn't seem fair to whoever's buying them that they're getting a fish that, might only have a little bit of time left. So the problem is setting up 3 tubs with, groups of breeders leaves me with, not all of these are breeders, but, probably what, 10 additional breeders that I really don't want to, but now that I'm going to be looking after for a while, versus if I just, only done 1 tub, it would have been, 6 of them. But anyway, which that's the thing is, once you get into breeding stuff, and this is a whole other topic, but it's just, it's not simple in the sense of, like, it's very easy to say, oh, this is how I do it, that I, oh, I am, it's like the whole, that's a whole other topic, not even worth getting into, because this video is running long anyway. Basically, there's a lot of things that, as a pet keeper, people do that you can't do as a breeder. Anyway, just because it's, especially with fish, you can go from having 1 pair of fish to 100 fish really quick. But anyways, the point being, I'm only going to be doing 1 tub of Aphanius mento next year, and probably be doing more tubs of, well, definitely be doing some additional, at least 1 additional turtle, possibly more, instead. Yeah, there was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember it now. Oh yeah, that the way this weather's been this fall, we haven't really had a cold snap yet. We haven't had any nights that have been below the 40s. I don't think we've had any days. We might have had 1 or 2 days where the high was in the high 50s, but we've not had, a true September cold snap. And I think that kept the Aphanius. They just kept I've seen it with both species of Aphanius and the flagfish. There were tons of little tiny fry that, some that look like maybe a week or 2 old, which to me says that without the cold snap, they just kept breeding. And so, yeah, that just complicated bringing them in, because there's just, instead of having that cold snap, which then stops the breeding for the season, and then, the juveniles, what juveniles you have grow out, you just keep getting more and more of these little tiny juveniles, and it's just a pain. And that's the thing with the little tiny juveniles, is most of them, when you bring them in, just aren't going to make it. Just the process of being transferred from tub to bucket to aquarium, and then just the fact that there's so many of them, they're so small, and you're taking them out of a system that provides lots of live food and constantly being able to feed to one where it's, there's a little bit of, fauna in those aquariums, but not like these tubs. And then they're mainly relying on the prepared food. Anyway, that's it for this week, and I think next week I'll probably take down the Iliodon tub, and then maybe, well, we'll see if I take down the rice fish tubs next weekend or leave them until October. Anyway, later.